Sanford Road Trail Run up here in beautiful Round Valley, Park City, to share with you some thoughts about the Hoka TenNine, a brand new maximally cushioned shoe from Hoka. It comes in at 12.35 ounces, 350 grams for a size 9 based on our sample. It has a 33 millimeter heel, 29 millimeter forefoot, 4 millimeter drop, so about the same as the Speedgoat 4, just a millimeter more. It's a $250 shoe, and it comes out in right now, March. As you can see, it has a very broad outrigger. It fits true to size. Mine is actually a half size small and is perfectly fine, so it might run a little bit big. It has that stretch vamp as in the Speedgoat Evo, very soft fabric, and some kind of wings on the upper with an inner booty. So it really represents a re-expression of the original Hoka the Mafate from 2009, and we'll actually show you a pair because Canice, my fellow tester, has a pair of the originals. A shoe designed really for downhill running originally, because the founders of Hoka were both designers of ski equipment and avid runners, ultra runners, and mountain bikers. So they thought of suspension, and it really set the world on fire with maximalist cushion when everybody was thinking about minimal. As you can see, that rear is very broad, very stable on the ground or on the snow. You have a lot of ground contact with this shoe, and we'll show you the outsole here in a second. So don't sleep on this one. We're going to test it on the road and give you our impressions as well, but you really feel kind of a levered landing, a very well cushioned, very stable, and then a propulsive effect towards the front. So far, I've just come up a little bit of a hill here on the snow, and I could really feel the ground contact from that very broad platform. You can see how wide. Okay, let's talk about the outsole. So the outsole is, as you can see, has some exposed EVA, and that sort of makes it climb better, I think. It's not as stiff feeling as the Speedgoats are with their all mega grip. May not quite have all that super rock grip, but it's a more versatile outsole, I think, because it feels a bit softer on pavement, and it actually feels a bit more flexible and a bit more propulsive. So it's a very impressive outsole, and you can see how very broad the platform is, and you really get a lot of ground contact from the shoe. Now, looking at the upper, we have a lightly padded tongue with a kind of a swept back elf's collar, as we call it. It's an engineered mesh, and the engineered mesh is over a inner booty with stretch booty, which Canice and I both feel is really effective in holding the foot. The fit, as I said, is true to size. I'm actually a half size down and pretty darn good. So I think it may run a tiny bit big. There's plenty of room in the toe box. This isn't the old Speedgoat kind of fit of old. It's kind of closer to the Evo Speedgoat because of that very nice stretch vamp. Now, we'll take a look now at the tongue construction and the vamp. See how soft it is. There's the tongue. And you can see the inner booty. It's quite substantial and really holds the foot well with those wings you see on the sides kind of adapting to different foot shapes. So I think it fits relatively broadly. The top little collar there helps you pull it on. It's a touch loose, but the hold is... Back from my run. Well, the TenNine is simply amazing on all surfaces. I finished the run with a mile of fairly steep road downhill and then some flats. And the downhill is and I've run that downhill many times, there was just no real shock. It was super stable, and then the flat sections I was able to pick it up. So I think in addition to trail chops, this great shoe may also be a great road long, slower run shoe. And certainly if you run on very hilly courses of all types, except maybe fully technical trails, it's going to be a great new option. I'm very, very surprised how great they feel on the road, despite the weight, really. So they're right up there. This in my thinking this year as the kind of all-arounder shoe, along with that Saucony Exodus 10. And the broad contact is really felt on the road. The lugs, are noticed, and they give good grip on the snow and the trail. Maybe not quite as aggressive as Mega Grip, but on the road they're noticed, but not in the way in any shape. And that broad platform just feels amazing when you go downhill. And then when on the flats, you also still get a really propulsive feel, the landing, and then there's kind of a distinct rocker off the front, a bit surprising. There's no plate, they're fairly stiff, so we do have a rocker effect here without a plate, and we do certainly have a bounce rocker off that heel. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. It's really propulsing me forward to that toe off. So now let's take a look at what Canice thought yesterday.
It's interesting, it feels like it's softening the impact before you would normally get the feel. Well, this is Canice running the TenNine from Hoka. Initial test. Amazingly stable.
I'm with Canice, ace reviewer for Road Trail Run, with the new Hoka One TenNine.
It's kind of like my best Vanna White impersonation here. Of course, that kind of dates us, I imagine, if you say that. So, hey, we just got out on the new Hoka One TenNine. We want to get an initial run and just get a feel for it. So we've been running this thing up and downhill in the snow. We've been running it on asphalt, and it's really kind of fun to compare those. And we thought we'd bring out some shoes like a Speedgoat 4, because that's an interesting one to compare to. Though, obviously, if you look at the Hoka One TenNine, that heel is just going to catch your attention. It's massive, right? So what's going on there is going to be the big question. And both Sam and I, really on the road, you can really feel this as you're coming in. Now, if you're a midfoot striker, you're not going to feel this as much. But if you're heel striking, which clearly this is meant for, especially when you're running downhill, you'll feel it engage, but actually rather softly. Like, it basically starts engaging as you're rolling forward in your foot strike. It just softens the blow. It's like a lever action there.
Yeah, it felt like a lever spring, not a spring, but a lever, a softening lever. It was really cool. It was noticeable and effective on this very steep pavement. We came down this road right here, so it was relatively steep.
Yeah, and another place that gets interesting is, what is it like running uphill? Now, the nice thing is, whether you're a heel striker normally or a midfoot striker, most people running uphill tend to run midfoot. So you're going to kind of naturally find yourself in that position. And the thing that I thought was interesting is, you come in at midfoot, feels great. You don't notice this at all. Right before you extend off, sometimes, you'll almost like come back on the shoe a little bit, and you do feel it kind of lock you off there. Like, it doesn't let you keep coming back too far. Not something you would find objectionable or like a problem, but you'll feel that if you do that. In comparison to something like a Speedgoat, one thing that's interesting, like, lots of cushion in this, very responsive shoe. But when you come in on a heel strike on this shoe, you feel this sort of moment of impact, like right when your heel kind of hits. On a Hoka One TenNine, you don't feel that moment of impact. It just gets soft and then springs and levers, and you roll off of it.
So their idea of a shoe for running downhills seems that this very initial going seems to be working for both of us. It's very different, very neat. And I think that, appearances aside, for me it ran otherwise like a very normal trail shoe or even road shoe, with that very kind of distinctive levering action on the heel landing in the downhills, and a very respectable climb. I actually thought they climbed a little better than the Speedgoat. Maybe the rubber here is a little softer than the Speedgoat. Didn't seem as slappy either.
Well, and you bring up an interesting comment, Sam, because this obviously catches your attention. Like, when someone sees that on the shelf in the store, there's no way they're not going to look at that heel and just wonder what's going on. And maybe even hard, you may like totally buy into it sort of intellectually and understand the concept and still struggle to like make that purchase. But it functions really well. But what's interesting is this portion of the shoe, if you took this away, what we call maybe the normal part, it feels like a normal shoe. Like, you don't feel this. You'll notice it softening the impact on a descent. You'll feel the spring coming off of it. but really the shoe itself generally feels like a normal shoe.
So Hoka's advising not to drive with them. But
Yeah, I was thinking about that with the gas pedal.
Not to drive. Let's talk a bit about the upper. We have the stretch vamp here, which in comparison to the
Sam,
regular Speedgoat, it seems stretchier and softer here.
Yeah, Sam, take a good look at this. I know we were both commenting on it. One of the things that's interesting is this is all elastic in here, and it's going all the way forward. So when you put the shoe on, you'll feel that stretch, and you'll even feel the material give here.
Yeah.
But you'll almost feel it like snap back or snug your foot in place. So you get a very, very secure feeling. Then that leaves the upper material here, right? If you have a narrow foot or a wider foot, it will either open up as you need it or close in.
We see some wings
for a narrower foot. And so that's a really unique part of the shoe that you'll feel when you try it on. This is interesting. Like, as much as you can see the heel counter here and the upper portion, you don't feel that. It actually helps you when you're putting it on. It kind of, I don't know, cosmetically it looks like it fits in there, but you won't feel this. You'll just pretty much feel the shoe kind of from about that point on. And then we, just for fun, Sam and I were digging out. So I used to work with the guys who founded Hoka One when we were all at Solomon back in the day together. And I ran into Jean-Luc Diard, who's still leading the innovation of Hoka One today.
And he's still after it.
He is.
Yeah, the downhill shoe.
He's a great guy. And by chance, I ran into him at the Outdoor Retailers Trade Show. He had taken rocks and glued them to a treadmill. He had taken a treadmill, taken the sides off, glued rocks to it. He sees me in the hallway and he's like, "Hey, Canice, come here." And he starts telling me about this idea. Now, for context, you have to remember, 2009 was like the height of barefoot running. Vibram Five Fingers were every place. Everybody's walking around at a trade show, like, "Hey, this is the greatest thing." And here's Jean-Luc showing off this
a clown
Mafate.
shoe.
Yeah, and the colors are a little wilder. This particular one is a waterproof version. He was kind enough to give me this pair back in the day, as well as some others to try. But instantly, you could feel everything that made Hoka what it is today. The cushion was there, the shock absorption was there, and when you ran on that treadmill with the rocks, it absorbed that impact incredibly well. So we thought that was kind of fun, just to show you one of the original Mafates.
The DNA of Hoka, the brand really started trying to come up with a shoe for fast downhill running, stable, fast downhill running. And they're known for the trail, the road, now lifestyle. But their DNA is still strong, and this new shoe is really a wonderful re-expression of that in a new way. And it is radical, and so far we're really enjoying it.
Yeah, and Sam, I think when you talk about bringing that kind of new innovative piece back, I guess that's one thing for us all to keep in mind. Radical is actually not new to Hoka. Hoka, in its conception, like when it was first created, was radical in its day. So to see them do something like this is actually just very in keeping with that brand.
And it's good news. It's good news. So don't be taken aback by the appearances. We think this is going to be a superb all-around, maybe even all-around trail runner. But we've got a lot more testing to go.